Welcome back to Under the Surface, everyone. I am so excited for our guests today. We have another incredible one of my previous students, but now I definitely call her a friend, a peer. I love especially watching this powerhouse of a woman show up on social media and speak her truth and be so embodied in her conviction for her mission, right? Her mission. And she's also a mom. She has two little ones, just like I do, and just like a lot of you do as well. Sarah Lambert, I want to give you an opportunity to say hello to everyone and talk about what it is that you do and how you serve the world. And I just want to give you a very warm welcome to Under the Surface. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you, Krystal. It's so nice to be here and just so nice to have a conversation with someone who's been an OG of the industry. I feel like we've grown up together in this online space and gone through so much just side by side and together. And yeah, everything has evolved so perfectly. And where I'm at today and where I've been for a long time is really in this mission of helping other women, specifically moms, monetize the work that they are meant to share with the world and not have to choose between being a present mom, raising conscious children, and building a legacy for themselves and doing the work that they love. Because I think that the previous narrative of society is that you're either this high-powered working mom who is trading all her time for money, or you are a stay-at-home mom who is baking fresh bread every morning. And it's like, why can't we have it all? And I posted recently how I'm so grateful to be part of this movement, this generation of women who is really changing this for women and the future. We both have daughters, and it's incredible to be part of that and to be able to do this for myself, but even more than that, get to do that and help other women do the same.
I love that. And you know that I'm so passionate about that too. And it's for me, and I'm sure you probably relate to this. For me, there's just like no other way. Like there's no other option in my mind. It was like, even when I became like a full-time single parent, like no part of me ever thought like, oh, I'm going to have to sacrifice time with my children, or, oh, I'm going to have to sacrifice like the freedom and creativity that I receive from being an entrepreneur. Like no part of me was ever like, oh, I have to sacrifice something now. I was like, no, like there's a way. Yeah. And I feel like I feel that from you so much, like your conviction in that mission. And even like, because you joined Embodied by Design in what, 2022? Or was it 20? Yeah. Oh my God. So crazy how time flies. Yeah. But I remember like just hearing your story back then and how it was photography first, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you were just like, I mean, right away, you figured out like how to scale passively. And like, can you speak to that a little bit? Because I know like your journey has evolved. Now you're just like this like coach for coaches and educator, and like just really expanded your work in so many ways. But can you speak a little bit to like when you realized that this was even possible for you?
To be honest, I realized this was possible for me before I even had a business idea. It was 2015 and I started seeing it wasn't as prominent online. People just were posting pictures of their dinners and their trips and their kids. And I started researching, how can I make money online? I was young. I didn't have kids. I was working a 9 to 5. And I just thought, you know what, how can I make some extra money? And I started learning about passive income. I signed up for my very first course without a business idea. I loved travel. So I was very fixated on this idea that I was going to make money from travel. Signed up, paid $500 to join a group coaching program, got into that room and saw that this girl my age, from like her parents' bedroom, was running this program with 10 students who all paid her $500. And right there, there was no turning back. It's like, she just made $5,000, or how much is that? $500? Yeah, $5,000. And she just has to show up for these 4 calls and da-da-da. And I was expanded in that moment. And I knew that I could do the same thing. And I just had to find what it was for me. And I stumbled into photography just by simply learning how to use my camera and people asking me, hey, can you take my photos, et cetera, et cetera. But when I started that service, I was quickly looking for opportunities to create a course. So I created a course, beginner photography for moms, and really just solved a problem that I saw. I saw that moms had cameras, they didn't know how to use them, solved that problem with a course, and was able to hit six figures while on maternity leave, my first maternity leave, and quit my corporate job. And ever since then, it's really just been a matter of solving the next problem for my community.
I love that so much. And at that moment, I want you to share your human design. What's your human design?
Okay. Yes. So I am an emotional manifesting generator with a 2/4 profile.
What do you know your incarnation cross? What is it?
Eden.
The cross of Eden. Okay. Oh my God, I love
Mhm.
that. Yeah, 2/4, I'm just like, you're such a natural, and like following your yes. And you have a defined heart. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You
Everything's
just know.
defined from the throat down. Everything's defined, but my ajna and my head are open. And so that's definitely something that I struggle with in terms of ideas and being pulled in different directions, but everything else is divine. So a lot of energy.
Lots of energy. Yeah. And I can feel that from you. And I can feel that defined heart too. Like when you were like, you saw that and you were like, if she can do it, I can do it. And I'm gonna. And you just decided. And I love that. So how did things like when and how did things evolve from that first course? Like I know you said like you solve the next problem for your community, which I love how you worded that. What was the next problem? Like, because you made a pretty big shift at one point into a totally different industry. Like, when did that happen?
Yeah, so I had my photography course and I launched that, and people quickly saw, wow, you just made six figures with a baby at home, quit your corporate job. This was 2019 and early stages of online businesses. And people started asking me, hey, can I ask you some questions about how you created your course and how you're scaling so fast? And I just again responded to the request. Hey, can you teach me this? Okay. My next course was Create Your Calling, which was a course about helping people create their businesses and come up with their idea. It was even before that was actually helping people come up with their profitable business idea. And then people started, actually, photographers also at the same time were asking, how do I now start a photography business? People were doing so well with the photography course that I started mentoring them and starting their photography businesses, while also helping other people who didn't have photography businesses create courses. And suddenly I just found myself being so excited about the business side of it and the personal branding side of it that the coaching offers started to flow. And specifically because I had become known for creating a course and making money through passive income courses, people started coming to me specifically for that. So I was helping people launch their businesses and create courses. And then people who already had businesses create courses. And those people were really wanting more support because they had a full-time business to run. And with that, I launched a course creation agency. And I ran that for a couple of years, which was amazing and really set us up for some higher level clients. We worked with 8-9 figure CEOs, people in Silicon Valley, LA, all over the world. People were hiring us and it was incredible. And we closed that agency down. I was telling you previously, we closed the agency down a year and a half ago because I really stepped into my bigger vision for myself. And so it's really just been this evolution and kind of following my intuition and my desires and my vision for myself, these little stepping stones. And it's felt so organic. It may from the outside have felt like, oh, this big shift. But for me, it was always just so natural.
Well, yeah, and it doesn't feel it feels like a natural big shift just observing it. You know what I mean? And I think too, like when you're so clear, everybody else is clear too. You know? It's like when you're really clear on what you're doing and why you're doing it, no one's questioning that. Everyone can see and feel the clarity in that. So at what point did you discover human design?
that I really discovered it from you back in, like, when did you start talking about it online, Krystal?
I think end of 2018.
Okay. Yeah. So Jude was born July 2018. And I'm pretty sure we were connected shortly after that. I started following you, and I remember your dancing videos in Hawaii and you working on your course. And so I think that it started becoming something that I was seeing online, and I was really just learning it by the things that I was seeing online. I was always really interested in personality tests. The Enneagram was the first thing that I really became obsessed with, because I've realized about myself, and maybe it's my 2-4, is I'm constantly looking to understand myself. And so the Enneagram was that first time that oh my God, I'm an Enneagram 7. That makes so much sense. All this time I've been judging myself for not being able to be consistent, but this is just how I am. And then now I realize that that's personality, whereas human design, that is actual, your energetics, that's your actual blueprint. And so there's so much more validity in that, but they cross over so much. My manifesting generator, Enneagram 7, it all makes so much sense. But that was kind of my gateway into self discovery.
I love that. Oh my God. So at what point did you really take it seriously? Like, because this is a very common story where people are like, okay, let me just like dabble and let me learn a little bit on my own. But there's always like this turning point where they're like, okay, no, like I need to go into this. Like, at
Yeah.
what point was that for you?
Oh, so I share this story often about my, what I call my Cameron Diaz moment. So a few years ago, I think it was 2021, and I was growing slowly. You know, I had my 6-figure year. The next year, I had another, I think it was a multiple 6-figure year, $200,000 a year. And then it was kind of staying like that, but I was putting in so much more work. So I was working way harder than I was when I was making 6 figures, putting in 5 times the amount of work and effort, but only getting 2 times the amount of growth. And that was happening for a long time. And I remember starting to get frustrated because I was doing all of the things that the gurus were telling me. I was taking the courses, I was following the steps, I was saying the scripts, doing the things. And I'll never forget, this one launch just was not going the way that I had planned it to, that I expected it to, and really feeling frustrated. And my husband lovingly used to call me rhino skin because I did not show emotion. It was just, I mean, I would show happy emotion, but I would never cry. He would be crying at a commercial or a movie. I would never cry. I was always just held it in. And I took pride in that for most of my life. And I remember thinking to myself, I feel like I need to go cry or something. I was so frustrated about this launch. So I went up to my room and left my husband downstairs with the 2 kids. And I was like, okay, I need to just get this energy out. And I'm sitting there, and I call it my Cameron Diaz moment because there's this scene from The Holiday where
I was
Cameron
just gonna
Diaz,
say.
yes, she is sitting at her desk and she cannot cry and trying to get the tears out, wanting to cry. And that was me. I'm sitting in my room on my bed, wanting to cry, completely unable to cry and feel the emotions that I could feel in my body. And I recognized in that moment, wow, this is a block. I need to work through this. I need to do some work on myself. And I, from that moment forward, went head first into personal development, spirituality, all the things. I hired a, um, what's it called?
Shaman.
Like a shaman. Yeah. I
Yeah.
hired a shaman. I hired an inner child coach. I hired you with human design. I was really committed to working through this because I recognized in that moment that it wasn't just about what I was doing, it was who I was being. And I could not just go through the motions and expect the results that everyone else was having. I had to up level my embodiment, my leadership. And so much of that comes down to your energetics and your emotional intelligence. And I didn't have that.
Oh my God. Yeah. I love that you call it your Cameron Diaz moment. And I love that you like could see that and have that awareness, you know, and then immediately responded. Like, this is what I love so much about you is that you realize something and you don't like sit on it forever,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what
Mm-hmm.
happens a lot. Like, people will get into this paralysis where it's like your body is very clearly telling you something and you're very clearly seeing something and your mind knows it. Like, it's fully a full blown awareness and you're
Yeah.
not actually doing it. And
Yeah.
I love that about you, that you just immediately respond. Um, okay, so then you joined EBD. I
Mm-hmm.
still remember, like I remember our like Voxer chat. I remember our calls. I remember all of
Me
it. So
too.
yeah, it was so fun.
Yeah.
But like, was there anything about that specifically? Because you were working on with a lot of different modalities. Was there something specific about
Mm-hmm.
human design that like really resonated with you or shifted something in you that was different from all the other work that you were doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mentioned before how understanding myself was something I really desired. And while the other modalities help you understand your emotions and what you're feeling and your patterns, what was so different and important piece of that was understanding who I was, and that there were certain things that didn't need to change. And in fact, it was my superpower and I could lean into them more. I didn't have to. The fact that I'm a 2-4, there were times before I knew that where I would judge myself for this retreating part. And it's like I always have to be on, but then I would go through these patterns of burning out and then pushing and then burning out, because that's the 2-4 in me, but I would do it in extremes. When I finally learned, oh no, this is how I work, I was able to not just push myself until I burned out and could take that break. I found the flow in my own life of like, oh, okay, this is just the natural moment where I want to go rest or not show up as much. And then these are the seasons where I do, and not judging myself for it. And so much of what I learned about myself through human design allowed me to recognize where my strengths were, where my superpowers were, and also where I needed to work harder, right? What I mentioned, I have an open head center. When I have all these ideas and I want to jump from one idea to the other, that's the hard thing about being a manifesting generator is we have all these other ideas, but as a entrepreneur, one of the important pieces is consistency and committing and seeing things through. So just knowing, okay, this is normal for you to want to shift gears and jump to something else, but what is the bigger mission? Okay, you can see your human design coming through, your true essence coming through here. How can you outsource, or how can you make sure we can get these things past the finish line? It doesn't mean that it's not a good idea and that we need to just pull the plug and move on. No, it just means that your Manny Gen self is doing what its Manny Gen self is meant to do. And we need to make sure we have the structures in place in our business so that things actually get done.
I love that. I love that. And do you feel too sometimes, like just as a side note, that like some of your ideas, I know for me, some of my ideas seem to be for my clients, you know? Like
Mm.
I'll
Oh
receive an
yeah.
idea and I'm so excited about it. And I'm like, that's not for me, you know?
Mm.
And I'll share it with a client and they're like so lit up by it. And I'm like, I knew it, you know, like I knew this wasn't for me. Do you experience that?
You know what? As you said that, at first I was like, I notice more themes. I don't think I've ever noticed like, oh, that's not for me. But a lot of times I've noticed themes where I'm like, oh, I want to talk about this. And oh, this person should also be talking about this. And this is it's a collective energy that I absolutely feel. Maybe as a manifester for you, it's very much like, nope. But for me, I'm like, I want it all. So I'm like, oh, I want to talk about this. And you need to talk about this. And this, everyone needs to know about this.
Yeah, I love that. Well, yeah, and you're emotional too. So, like, I feel like especially when you have those collective emotional waves, you're so tapped into the collective emotional consciousness too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I always think of Taylor Swift when I think about that. But anyway, so as far as like embodied by design, like, do you feel like, of course, it was helpful for you to understand yourself, but was there like any other benefits that you felt like were surprising for you? Like other areas where it really served you, whether it be like in business or personally, like other
Oh
than
yeah.
just understanding yourself?
The two big things that come up immediately are, of course, with my clients, specifically the ones who are different than me, because it can be really easy as mentors and coaches to try to coach your clients the same way that you would. And I remember specifically this one instance where I had a client with a splenic authority, and she came into the Voxer chat and she said, I am closing this program. I'm driving and I just know it's what I need to do. And my instinct was to say, because this was her bread and butter, to say, whoa, why don't you just sleep on it? Let's talk about this on our call. And then I realized she's a splenic authority. She doesn't need for this to make sense. She has a knowing, and I was able to support her and coach her based on knowing that. And so absolutely, there's so many examples of that in my coaching practices, the way that I coach people in their unique energy and design versus, and I don't necessarily sit and look at their chart, but I always ask for their chart. When I work one-on-one or close proximity with people, I need to see their chart because I need to make sure that I am coaching them accordingly. The second would be with my kids. I have two kids, and it's really interesting. And I've talked to you about this, Krystal. My son, he is the exact opposite of me. He's a projector, but he is a mental projector. So his head and his ajna are defined, and everything else is open. So we fit together like a perfect puzzle and have that opposite energy. And so that has been really, really interesting and triggering a little bit too, because we're very different. Whereas my daughter, she's born a day before me. She's September 16th. I'm September 17th. And our charts we're both 2-4 emotional manifesting generators with a cross of Eden with, she has a couple, we both have the same amount of defined centers, just one's different. It is wild how similar they are. And I know that there's so many intricate pieces of it that are different, but that has been really interesting, and being able to recognize their unique differences in parenting.
Yeah. Well, and Ra always used to say, human design is for the children, you know?
Mm.
And it's like the more authentic that we can be and sort of see the different, like differentiate ourselves from our children instead of projecting our own stuff onto them, and like meet them where they are and parent them according to who they are. Like that is literally the generational ripple effect of authenticity and truth and confidence, like all of these things that we really want for our kids. So yeah, I hear you there. It's such a game changer in that respect. And relationships too, like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so many like secondary benefits, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like it's just the kind of knowledge that everyone should have.
Yeah.
It truly allows you to see the universe and the world and humans, relationships, and our relationships are everything, right? Whether it's relationships with your clients or your partner or your kids or your coworkers, it's so important to understand. And you don't even have to know their chart. It just almost gives you an understanding of how different we all are. And that alone is so profound and something that a lot of people don't ever get to in their lifetime.
Yes, I always say this. I'm like, the first layer is seeing it through, like seeing yourself. The next layer is seeing how others are separate. The next layer is actually seeing humanity, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
like, I love that. So just out of my own selfish curiosity, because you're such an accomplished like course creator and have worked with, you know, on some of the probably best, most successful courses on planet Earth. Um, what is your experience of Embodied by Design like as a sort of like learning platform and as like a structured experience, like learning experience? Like, was there anything that like you really that really stood out to you in that respect?
I am not just saying this. I have, like I said, I have worked with 8 and 9 figure business owners, coaches, extremely successful. Your program was absolutely, if not the best, one of the best programs that I've seen. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on your podcast. Just you asked me that question, I'm like, it was phenomenal. Down to the workbook that you created, that you don't see that. You see a bunch of different PDFs that you can download. You do not see a workbook as well created as you put together. You do not see content that is so like, it just, everything was branded so perfectly. You teach everything in such, I love the way you teach. It's all so clear, and it doesn't get into, for me, I don't know if it's my human design or what, but I don't like for unnecessary information. You know, there are like super analytical people who want to understand everything. I feel like you give a really good balance between what you actually need to know, and for those analytical people, explaining it. And it wasn't too much that I lost interest. Like everything felt really exciting. And I think I was so interested in the course material. I've watched it since then. Like I'll go back to it and watch it years later. It is really, really amazing. Not to mention the community, the coaching, all of it together was such an incredible experience.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. That's like, I fully receive it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. So let people know, like, because obviously you are using human design with your clients, you're helping your clients like find this freedom, find their calling, and actually like scale that for more freedom, more peace, more presence in their lives. So tell them how they can find you and experience your work.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on Instagram. The Sarah Lambert is my handle. I have a podcast that has been a little bit asleep for the last little while, but we are bringing it back soon. So probably by the time this recording is live, there will be new podcast episodes dropping. But come join me if you are looking to make more money online while being this conscious business owner, mother, someone who is really committed to not only making money online. I love to say, we're here to get rich and change the world. Like, I love making money. I love helping women make money, but it really, I help women who are truly here to change the world, whether it's by creating a photography course for moms or meal plan. Like, it doesn't have to be this massive vision where you're the next Oprah. It will probably evolve to that, and it should, because you're here to do massive things, right? But it's going to start somewhere, and wherever it is, so find that problem that you can solve, and make money from it and have the best freaking life ever. So that's what we're all about.
I'm like over here just snapping at that because you just put that so perfectly. And I love watching you. I love cheering you on. I'm so honored to have had this conversation with you and have you grace the Under the Surface podcast community with your presence and your energy. Definitely go follow Sarah. Any final words from you? I mean, those were really good final words, but any final words about, maybe even like human design and how that's really like supported you as a person, a human, a mom, a partner, a business owner, a coach, like all of the things that, other people listening kind of on the fence about it might need to hear?
Yeah. My advice would be to really lean into this. If you have even the smallest nudge, you will never regret it. You will never regret it. Understanding yourself more is such a key to growth in every aspect of your life. And so lean into it. And Krystal, the way that you are the perfect leader to do this, because you are so authentic and you truly care about your community, and you're here, like I mentioned, yeah, we're here to make money, but the mission is so much bigger than that. And I really feel that from you. And so that is why years later, you and I still have such a profound love for each other. We don't have to talk every day. We don't have to talk every month, every year. There will always be that profound love because we see each other in such a special way because of who you are and what you've created. And so this work is amazing. You are amazing. It is truly a must for everyone.
Thank you so much, Sarah. You're
Thank you for
amazing.
having me.
It is
I love
profound
you.
love.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again. And thank you everyone for listening. Please, anything that resonated with you, DM Sarah or me, let us know. Rate, review, subscribe, share the podcast. I always appreciate that. And otherwise, have a beautiful rest of your day.